We're just continuing with halachot. This is now of Halachot of Tefila, very interesting. Shulchan Aruch brings down in Siman Kuf Bet Sif Hey that if a person finishes Amida and somebody is praying behind them, they're not allowed to take the 3 steps back until the person behind them actually finishes. And therefore a person should pay attention not to cause Zalgon Nefesh to the people which are in front of him. And that's what's also brought down in the Pitkei Choshen. The Tuvchei Abir of Zilberstein brings a beautiful story with the Moshe Feinstein that once happened that there was a Torem, there was a very wealthy person that went and they called up in order to give a donation and they wanted to speak to the Moshe Feinstein. The secretary went running into the Beit HaMikdash and he tells the Moshe Feinstein in his ear, listen, right, the guy's on the phone, please come. So Moshe Feinstein turned around and he wanted to take the 3 steps back. And what happened was, he says, there's somebody there, so you can't take the 3 steps back. So the secretary went and he said, yeah, but we're going to lose a fortune. He said, well, you can't see the wall that's behind me. However, though, people have to pay attention and be considerate to what's in front of them. Why? The Shut Shamash Shlomo, Rav Amar, he comes and he says as follows. He says, some people come and they start saying the Amida, right? And they say it very quickly, and they don't even pay attention where they are. And therefore, they start standing right on Ema Derech. Many times this happens that you come for a mincha and all of a sudden you see that the back corridor is packed with people that they're coming and they're praying because they came late. So he says, Shtaim Raot Gormim Bezeh. They're actually causing 2 bad things. He says, number 1, the majority of the people, they cannot stop themselves and therefore they will pass in front of him. And the ones which are medaktekim midvar Hashem and they're not going to pass in front of them, they are sagar aleim midbar. They're closed behind and they can't move. So because of that, he says they should not be mizalzel be'avdei Hashem, Baruch Hashem. So then he comes and he says, and other people also, if you already know that you're going to pray long, so therefore what you should do is pray in a place where you're not going to cause people, problems. I remember there was somebody that he always wanted to pray behind the Shliach Tzibur. I'm saying if the Shliach Tzibur is going to take 3 steps back, and you're always praying, if you already know that you take a longer tefillah, pray on the side, so therefore you're not going to bother anyone. Why? And the same thing happens not only for the Shliach Tzibur, that would happen for anybody. So therefore he comes and he says, it's very important to know this. The Maran brings down, there's a Yerushalmi, a Rav Chia bar Abba, that he went up to pray. So Rav Kahana came, and he came late, and he came behind him, and he started praying. After Rav Chia bar Abba finished, right, he had to stand in his place. He couldn't pass by, so he's standing there. And then afterwards, he comes and he tells him, he says, what, this is what you do, that you cause your rabbis to suffer? So says Rav Kahana, Ani mi bet Eli kam. I come from the house of Eli. So he says, I have to pray much more because I have no other way of doing it. I only have to pray. But however, though, comes and he says, you see from here that Rav Kahana was makpid, that somebody came behind him and he started praying, right? And he started taking much longer. The last thing, which is very interesting, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach comes and he says, if somebody comes and he starts praying in a place where it's going to be in the middle, he brings down a marsham in that Torah that you could say that he's like a kever amazikat rabim. Imagine right now a person passes away. So usually they are konet mekomo, they acquire where they are. However, though, what happens when it's a place where it's going to damage people? What you're allowed to do is you're allowed to dig up the person, move him somewhere else. Why? It's a kever amazik larabim. It's a grave which is causing harm to the people. So he comes and he says, and he doesn't acquire his place. So he says, even though now you're stopping the person from having kavanot in the middle of the tefillah, because you're walking right in front of him, he comes and he says it doesn't matter. And he says even more though. So, minadin, you're allowed to walk in front of him. A person cannot prohibit something that's not his. And since the person didn't have the permission to stand there, he does not have any permission to come and to prohibit the place. So therefore, but he says it's still roi lachmir b'zeh lechatchila unless you really need to. So you see from here the importance of what it is that when a person is going to say Amidah, whether it is when a person comes late or a person's in a Bet Knesset, don't just come and say Amidah wherever it is. Have in mind the people that are going to be in front of you in order not to bother them, or if it is that you know you're going to take another more minutes or whatever it is, pray in another place that you're not going to bother anybody, that they're going to be able to take the 3 steps back without any problems whatsoever.